These records were not lost. They were erased, locked away in sealed archives, buried beneath maps that no longer exist. What you are about to hear is not a legend retold. It is a reconstruction. This is the Forbidden Myth Archive. Entire civilizations have been scrubbed from the record. Cities that stood for 1,000 years, gone in a single night. There was a king whose name was a forbidden sound. To speak, it was to invite the abyss. Fire was the tool of the censor. The ocean remembers what the land forgot. Deep beneath the tides, the archives continue to pulse. An empire built on glass and coral. The archive is closing, but the myths remain. Return to the world you know. Mythic journeys. The archive never sleeps, just beneath the surface. In the year 1423, a merchant vessel recorded an impossible event. The sea did not storm. It did not rage. It went silent. On the third night, the water beneath the ship changed, not from depth, from presence. Something circled below. It did not attack. It observed. At dawn, the sea returned to normal, but the crew did not. A final message surfaced years later. The creature was not hunting, it warned. It was guarding something below. The ship vanished, but the sea kept its secret. The world we know is built upon boundaries, lines we were never meant to cross, documents we were never meant to see. For decades, these records were buried. Now the seal has been broken. Welcome to the archive. It began with a pulse, a frequency that defied explanation, emanating from the deepest trench in the Atlantic. Witnesses spoke of a wrongness in the air, a silence so heavy it felt like a physical weight. This was the first evidence of the boundary, a thin veil between our reality and something else. Scientists dismissed it as atmospheric distortion, but the sailors knew better. The rules of nature were starting to bend. The SS Meridian was the first to vanish. When it was found 3 weeks later, the crew was gone. The logs were empty. Only one photograph survived, a glimpse into the abyss that should not exist. They tried to close the rift, they tried to reinforce the boundary, but some doors, once opened, cannot be shut. The sea began to change. Not in temper, but in essence. It was no longer water, it was a medium for something else. The archive was never just a collection of stories, it was a warning system, and the alarms are finally sounding. Beneath the waves, the pulse grew louder, a heartbeat for a world we aren't invited to. The cities grew quiet. People stayed indoors, sensing the change even if they couldn't name it. File 1042 details the first physical contact. A breach that wasn't just visual, but tangible. The sky mirrored the sea. A symmetrical tear in our reality, widening with every passing second. Communication failed. The records become fragmented here. The ink bleeds. The data corrupts. They walked into the water. Not in fear, but as if they were being called home. Thousands of them. We recorded the sound of the breach. It wasn't a bang. It was a sigh. The sound of a world giving up. The transformation spread inland. The biology of our world was being overwritten by an alien logic. This was the last entry before the archive went dark. A final realization of the scale of our mistake. These are the final recovered files. The last testament of a world that was. Pay attention. The boundary is thin. The threshold has been crossed. There is no going back. The only thing left is to witness the end. If the boundary fails, there will be no warning, no invasion, only change. And by the time we notice, it will already be too late. These were only the first recovered files. More records remain sealed. More boundaries remain unexplored. Subscribe to continue the archive before the remaining files are lost.